All right, gang. Oops. That's weird. Hang on. I am open twice here. That might be Lauren, she might be logged in as me. Or not. Hang on, a little technical difficulty here. Shoot who?
A woman in front of her.
Huh.
Was it like someone new?
Wasn't me trying to shoot my wife, was it?
That's what it sounded an hour ago.
I was. I am asking.
That's the cover up.
Okay, check. Am I there? Somebody let me know. I don't know how it got logged in twice. All right. There we go. That was weird. All right. All right, welcome everybody to tonight's call. This is the Profitable Real Estate Agent Plan call, and sorry we're a little bit late here tonight, but we were just finishing up a Griffin internal training. So this continues this course, which is a 12-week course. And in the first week here, what I did was I went through and talked about the plan itself, and we talked about the business model and how that came out of Michael Gerber's world. And we went through that. Bear with me. I want to just bring up these slides here too. So we went through that last time, and it's a nice, thorough talk through as to why you have to think strategically before you can ever get into doing things tactically. And I can't believe how many people just want to run right in and start talking about leads, and they don't even know why. And that relates to how they get what they want. And ironically, I just finished this call with the Griffin Agency side over here, live training, where I started talking about it's really simple if you can keep in mind that you don't need that many deals, closed sales, to hit what you want to hit, right? For a financial goal. So that's tonight's call. This is where we talk about this, and we talk about why that's important. And so I'll show the GCI goal tracker at the end of this, and I'll talk about why that is so important. When it comes to these 12 strategic conversations, it's the flow of the business. However, for all of the Griffin agents and TRC agents, I want you to remember that it's a bone structure of just 6 pieces. There are 2 spreadsheets that are really, really critical. One we talk about tonight. The other one is an actual database that we built in Google as well. Those are the first 2 things you need. You need to be quantitative in your approach to this. Otherwise, you're lost, and you'll see why tonight. The next 2 things are really marketing pieces, which are the buyer and the seller packages. You have to know how to make those, period. It's a full stop right there, because if you're not prepared on how to make an information product to give to sellers and buyers, you have nothing unique about you. Now you're just winging it. And lastly, there are scripts and dialogues that teach you what to say, how to say it, what cover letters, and they explain to you what to do. They're like instructions too. So I want to make that very clear that that's exactly what's most important here. And so let me see here. Hang on one second. I got to get the right one here. Sorry. Walking and chewing gum here, and I grabbed the wrong one. And then I'm going to answer Danielle's question first. Let me find this thing here. Okay. Just tell me before I get that going if you can see a screen that has a spreadsheet. You can't on YouTube. I know that. So let me start that. Share that. And then in here, you should be able to see it as well. Okay. So I should be showing it. Okay. So before I get that going, question.
I just wanted to touch up on things to watch out for if somebody is listed with another agent, meaning like with their contract. Because I know that
Yeah.
Dave, I have a 60-day after saying like if he found a buyer that I have that sale. So just what do you look for?
Okay. She's asking me a question about a listing that she has actively. Yeah.
No, this is the one from the text from today. They said that.
Okay.
they
Because
were-
you blended two deals. Because I thought you were talking about the first one. Are they under agreement in a listing contract with the agent?
Yes,
Okay. For how long did they sign?
they are only listed for about 2 weeks now. So they're fairly.
No,
new.
but so they probably signed a long-term thing. Long-term contract, a listing contract.
Right.
How long did you sign yours for?
I don't have one with them.
No, the other people. How long did you sign one for?
For 3 months.
Okay. So it might be short like that, but that's still a long way from 2 weeks. So if they're talking about firing that agent, then there needs to be a true cancellation of that contract. If they cancel it and relist with another, the language says that there is nothing due. You meld the two concepts, right? One, you're talking about a 60-day protection period.
Well, I don't know if they all have the protection period. I would assume they
If it's
do.
standard
Yeah.
language, it's standard language, but it says unless they list with somebody else. And if they cancel the contract, it's null and void anyway.
Okay.
So they need a cancellation with that agent before you could list it.
Okay. So once they do, so is a cancel different than the expired and everything?
Oh,
Like
completely.
cancels meaning
Canceled,
it's done.
canceled that there's a release of contract. You have to make sure that they get a release of their obligations under that listing contract.
Okay. And is there anything you would tiptoe around saying to kind of be,
No.
you know,
No, say I can't do anything unless you cancel the contract with them, and
well, not
there would have to be a full release. I can't do anything with you. Did it? Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay, well, not unless that's in writing.
yeah, that's
Well, okay. Well, first of all, this is very fascinating that this comes up on the left and right of me. This is in stereo. This is in stereo. Okay. So first of all, we want to be very careful that we're not soliciting other agents' business. So Deirdre, give me your scenario. How do you get with this person? Yep. 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 Good. Keep going. Keep going. Yep. How is he expired if how did he expire if he's in a contract? Withdrawn? Okay. Oof. All right. Here's here's the note. Temporarily withdrawn. You are not supposed to call. Yes. Temporarily withdrawns. Kathy learned that the hard way too. Temporarily withdrawns, you are not supposed to call because they're not really a termination of anything. It's temporary. So why did he temporarily come off? Yeah. Okay. Well, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. You both have to be careful because you can't just have this conversation with somebody that's in a contract without actively soliciting a listing. That's a no-no. So you have to be very explicit with them to say, if you are still in a contract, okay, if you're not happy with that contract, you would need to get a cancellation of that contract. Okay, so before I could do anything. Okay. Now, if he said, well, can you help me with that? It's still a slippery slope, but you can, yeah, it's still a slippery slope. You really shouldn't be counseling him to do that, because unless he's, I mean, again, it would be better if he said something to you in writing that says, hey, listen, I'm not happy with my realtor and I need some help. You could always go to our team attorney, John Holmgren, and he could help. He'll do it on our behalf. Okay. Okay, good. Yes. Yes. You need copies of that to make sure it's a full release of the contract. Okay. Yeah. Just say, well, you can go see him anyway and see it. Yeah. 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 Okay. Well, he doesn't have to send it to you. If he's going to see you, tell him to bring the, yeah. Just say, you say, my broker wants to make sure I'm fully compliant. Right. So can you just, bring the paperwork with you so we can see it. Right. Yeah. Then it's, then it's full steam ahead. By the way, who is he listed with? Hang on, everybody. This is a good little test case here.
It's the same realtor from the one I had, because in Marion, it was the same lady. They were listed for a year, not a single open house. And she was so mad at it. But I went and dropped
Yeah.
the package off. She opened the door for me, Danny, and her eyes lit up.
Yeah.
So now I can send her emails. And I was like,
Yeah.
yay.
Good. Yeah, good. And that's, again, what I was trying to express to Christine tonight was you just got to get to these, you got to get to these people.
It's a kid on Christmas. Every
Yeah.
adult likes
Yep.
getting a present.
Everybody loves a physical package that's to their benefit. Okay, I'm going to get into this setting financial goals. But Deirdre, that's also good. Good, good tenacity. Just both of you be very careful that there's a real formal cancellation. Otherwise, and you have to be very careful with temporarily. Good, excellent, bravo.
Do you also ask for feedback for like the other agent as well, just to know like what
No.
didn't work or
No. I mean, stick to your formula. Go say, listen, I don't know what happened or didn't happen. How far did you get?
Okay.
Did you have any, like, as far as marketing, was there push marketing? So you use our language. Were there any open houses? Right?
Okay.
Did anybody come with co-brokes? So did you get any feedback from people that did come? Did you get to any offers? Because before I go through the 7 steps, I want to know how far you got.
Okay.
But still go through the 7 steps, still presume it's a fresh start. Okay? Yeah, train wreck. Yeah, train wreck. Right? So did you find out who it was? I'm curious.
Recording in progress.
It's okay. Yep. That's all right. I'm just going to get the slideshow teed up. For the rest of you, you should see setting financial goals. And if you don't see setting financial goals, then scream and yell, and I will make sure we get it. Let's check it. Okay. Oops. Where did my thing go? Here it is. Okay. So like I said tonight, after setting up the business model, the most important thing is we set a North Star. And that's what we're going to do here tonight, to express the North Star. And it struck me tonight with the Griffin training how much I really need to lean into this a little bit and really emphasize how few deals it takes to really start to be financially successful as a small business in this industry, if you're targeting, especially right now because of inflation, median and above. Okay. So keep that in mind. Now, when I say this, I am talking about goal setting. So when we set a financial goal, it's a very clear North Star. Now, of course, stars, as the night goes on, they move around. And so they, but it's still the North Star. and it's still there, and that's your financial goal, and that's what we're after. But goal setting activates the brain's reward system and motivates action. Right before she walked out the door, I don't know if you could hear it in the background, Danielle Gonzalez said, it was like Christmas when the lady opened the door and she took the package from me, and now I get to send her emails. You could actually see the reward system in Danielle's brain if you were sitting here open up. And she was expressing the reward system in somebody's brain. So the chemical flood that happens when we have clear goals and we achieve them, I'm talking more so about watching Danielle's eyes just now light up because she set a goal, a tactical goal in that case, to door knock this package, to get it to this person, to create a prospect, which moves close to client and eventually becomes a closing, which eventually comes part of achieving the North Star financial goal. I just watched it happen here, right? So it's this reward system that we're awakening with clear goals. When you don't have a clear goal and a clear plan on how to achieve it, you are a mess from a psychological standpoint. It's very stressful, right? Because the brain is wired to focus on specific and measurable goals, making it easier to prioritize and achieve them. Let that sink in too now, right? If I have a very specific, and you'll see when we get to talking about these spreadsheets, I always talk in terms of crooked numbers. You can't say to me, well, I'm going to make $100,000 gross from my business before splits. I won't accept that because that's not a specific goal. It's measurable, but it's not specific. It's patronizing. And your brain really actually is so powerful. It wants something more crooked, more specific, more meaning, more depth of thought than just a random number you've thrown out there. So for years, what I would say to people is, have you ever made a lot of money in your life in business or a job or whatever it is? If so, what's that number? Don't make it round. Tell me specific. Okay, you want to try to make that again in your business, or you want to try to get near there? Because people make numbers up. Well, how to make 100,000? Have you ever made $100,000 at anything before? No. Well, what's the most? 67.5 at my last job. Okay, good. So 67.5 was your salary. So maybe, if we set a number of 100,000, it's the equivalent, but now you don't have to go work for somebody else. And after splits, you're going to make about that, right? So wonderful. That's great. Let's set it. See, that's specific. It's measurable, but it's also rooted in some sense of reality. You can't just pull rabbits out of hats when it comes to goal setting. There has to be some balance of reality. Otherwise, you're setting something so unrealistic, the brain will actually shut down on that. I won't. I'm a believer in setting big goals. And, there's the concept of BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. Sure, that's fine to a certain extent. But in the meantime, I like lily pads that you can hop to and not land in the water. You actually land on them, right? So specific and measurable goals make it easier to prioritize the steps it actually will take with me and the system to achieve them, okay? Setting goals creates a sense of purpose in direction, which very importantly reduces stress and anxiety and enhances overall well-being. I will tell you this almost weekly in my one-on-one coaching with all the top producers that I coach and have over the years. I am telling you the number one theme with them is I try to tell them, stop letting anxiety be the manager of your business. Okay, let that sink in. Stop letting anxiety be the manager of your business. So what does that mean for a top producer? Well, so many top producers are just lead oriented, tactically oriented, that they're always under the stress of trying to scrape the cream of finding somebody this week that's about to buy in the next 30 days. And that's just tremendously unrealistic as a sustainable, predictable business model. It's in direct proportion not only to that top producer's energy, but it's also in direct proportion to the economy. You become subjected to those two things, your energy and the economy. Well, why would you ever want to build a business that required anxiety to be in control all the time? Because you're always running out of fear to be successful. And worse, subjected to the ebbs and flows of the economy. Wouldn't you want to build something that was more bulletproof? This is the exercise I went through and said, of course. So then it just becomes a purpose. The purpose-driven business in this context is to create something that's predictable and sustainable and not cream skimming. So, well, that gives me power just saying it. I feel less stress. Now, of course, if I'm you and I don't know how to do that yet, I still feel the stress. The logic of this conversation is there, but yes, how? So we're going to show you at the end of this call how with a tactical plan. But strategically, this is the discussion to understand the power of goal setting, that it starts that reward system when it sees specific and measurable goals, and it gives everything purpose and direction. We can keep going, that in spite of the headwinds and the setbacks and all the challenges, we still have that purposeful direction towards that North Star once we set it there. Okay. Now the brain responds positively to, he said, clear and achievable goals, releasing dopamine, a neurotransmitter that helps to improve the mood, memory, and focus. Okay, again, I'm going to tell you that I just watched Danielle's brain, go. She had some anxiety. Maybe Deirdre had a little anxiety when they start talking about, am I compliant? Am I compliant? And that the minute that they find out they are, and this cancellation agreement is coming and these things are happening, you could hear it in Deirdre's voice because I couldn't see her, and I could see it in Danielle's face. There's this release of a chemical that makes you smile. It makes the pitch go up. The excitement, the voice goes up. You can hear it. So the brain is responding positively. In these cases, these are our achieved goals. I sought out this person, said both of them. I got a package to this person, said both of them. I changed the way they saw me, said both of them. And then I'm able to follow up and or have a meeting where I might be able to get that listing based on this formulaic approach. Well, that's a dopamine response. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about dopamine versus serotonin, the way that I understand it in the context of what this model did for me. I am still very much a dopamine junkie. On my desk, I have 27 files. All of those houses I have been into, okay? And some of them are already closed. Some of them are under agreement. Some of them are sphere of influence that I'm following up long-term. But there's over $27 million worth of potential and influence to my right-hand side. And this is just what's hot now, okay? Let that sink in. So I can feel the junkie in me going, I want more of these. I want more of these. That's a dopamine hit. But the serotonin in me says, here's proof over 2025 that there was some consistency in predictability, because we know exactly how much money that I want to personally generate. I know how much money I generated in a gross way, just like I'm teaching you gross, not after I've had to pay my bills. And I'm just like anybody in my company. I pay my splits, right? All that stuff, and then some, by the way, for me, because of the expenses. So I can still see serotonin, though, and feeling I got a chance. Every year I stick to a formula, I got a chance. I've got a chance to always achieve that goal, not just hit the dopamine fixes week to week to week that do the tactical things, but serotonin saying, you know what? I'm starting yet another year where I'm calm, cool, collected, because I know how consistently productive a systematic approach is. So there's where you start to play around with bodily chemicals once you will listen to me, stay in this, and hit these moments. So you saw and heard from a couple of dopamine hits today, but as those people start to build out their book of business, which I'm telling you all, in the next 60 days, you got to get into the contact pipeline manager, look at all of the prospects you've created, make packages of updates, get them out the door to all of them, so that you get the dopamine hit of completing those tasks, but the serotonin hit of saying, I see what he's saying. I don't have just that listing presentation today, but I got 4 or 5 other prospects that I am actually following up on. I'm not just trying to get this thing in Comaquid because it's in front of me. I've got 4 or 5 other people that I'm talking to that are ready. That one said February. This one said March. And remember, the contact pipeline manager has those conversion dates. So you're predicting this guy's going to become my client in February, hopefully. This one in March, this one in June. Those are completion dates if you'll just fill in the blanks of follow-up after that, right? So see, that's how goals get seen, and then the tactical steps fill in the steps below it. So yes, I've got a financial goal, but then that allows me this purposeful direction, and I'm hitting clear, achievable goals on my way to get it. It's like building a predictable stairwell. So by breaking down these large goals into smaller and more manageable steps, the brain is equipped to achieve them. So you see, I've got this, let's call it $101,245 goal. Okay. I pick a crooked number. The brain says, that's curious. That's interesting. It peaks. Now I say, and I have a system where I can identify geographically. So Griffins that were in the training tonight are really going to be able to get this. Geographically, I draw a circle around Newtonville. Inside of Newtonville, I see there's 43 expireds last year. Okay. Might not be enough, but I'm going to focus on those 43 expireds. I'm going to make sure they all didn't relist. And I'm going to go one by one per week. And I'm going to make an offer of the package of information, and it's going to get a yes or a no for delivery. I'm going to deliver, follow up, try to get a listing presentation. And if I do, create a prospect and eventually follow up with them till they become a client. That's just some manageable steps. There's no rocket science to it. And why? Because I need 3 of those 43 next year to get to 101 or 4. Let's say if I get $4 million Newtonville listings over the course of 44 weeks of working, 46 weeks of working out of 52, if I execute a manageable step every single week, in spite of the fact that I have a full-time job, and I can achieve those prospects, is it reasonable for me to assume that out of 44 touches, I'm going to end up with 4 listings? It sounds really reasonable. And suddenly, the goal and the steps to achieve it are linked. And it sounds extremely possible. It is not made up. It is based in data, in fact. So by visualizing the end result of a goal helps the brain to create this roadmap for achieving it and provides a sense of clarity and focus. Clarity is easy with me because when I show you, and I'll show you the tactical plan that we've broken down for you all to follow in a mind map. But again, this is the strategic why this all works. You got to get up at this high level of understanding why goal setting, a simple financial goal inside the GCI goal tracker, which is a tactical tool. I've got a strategy talking about goals that says you got to have a North Star. So I built a tactical spreadsheet that you can manage this in, and it gives you clarity. But what you have to work on yourself is focus. Focus. How many times did you get distracted, not do the thing? How many times did you say, oh, but this guy was doing this, so I tried? Nope. That's lack of focus because the clarity is there in the system. So goal setting requires the use of the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and planning. When trained, can improve cognitive function and enhance overall productivity. If you want to be productivity oriented, then you need to get the prefrontal cortex activated. And without a goal, it isn't in this way. I'm no brains. What would I call myself? A biologist, I guess. I'm not a biologist in telling you exactly how the brain works, but these are all things that I read about that made very clear sense to me because when I did these things, it worked. I felt this in my brain. I felt more productive. I did start to make better decisions. Look at my desk. I have a massive case of ADD creativity I was born with. And I developed this crazy OCD to balance it out because I love to plan the success. And then I turn the ADD guy loose on the weekends to do 5 open houses, but he's disciplined inside a system. But he gets to be creative with these people that walk in. It's delicious when you have all of this understanding because you can get under control. I was going to say self-control, right? So reviewing progress towards goals helps to keep the brain engaged and motivated towards achieving them. So tonight during the Griffin training, Christine was in front of me. Danielle was to the side of me. And what did I say? I said, because you two have achieved these interim goals. You, Christine, have prospects. And immediately something lit up in a hole in her training where she wasn't doing the follow-up packages. She didn't even know that there was a cover letter for longer term follow-up. She didn't even know that there was a script. Now that's on us. And that's why we do training, because all of a sudden, even though we've said this to people over and over, the light bulb goes on because why? They made progress. They went out and got a package to an expired. The lady really likes her. She brought me in for a listing presentation. And now all she has to do is execute the follow-up plan. So she gets to the next level of the game where there's progress. So we celebrate everything else and you say, go repeat that. But see, if the brain doesn't see the next steps in the decision-making plan and the clarity to pull that person closer to being one component of reaching the goal, one sale out of 4 needed for the 101, 245, then it gets stuck and it doesn't do anything. And it sits around and it doesn't realize it's sitting in quicksand. But I have this one, and I'm sinking. And then all of a sudden that one changes its mind and I have nothing. And I say it didn't work. And I would be wrong. I would have just stopped making the progress each week. Danielle did the same thing. Well, I have 3 prospects. So is it too much to go, what? You have a tactical plan that says how many times are you supposed to attempt to get a new prospect listing? 46, she said quickly, because she was subtracting the time she would be sick and take off. I said, correct. 44, 46, you pick it. 46. Is this one of those 46 weeks? Yes. So what do? I go out and I door knock another one. Okay. So you didn't have to ask. You just had to think in terms of what does the system tell me to do? And I've made progress in these other 3 things, but I'm always supposed to make progress. It's a never ending thing. I work my prospects first. I go out and door knock my new leads next, and I make progress in each category, but always the business is working. Celebrating small wins along the way helps to reinforce positive behavior, leading to a more significant sense of achievement and satisfaction. Now, I'm going to even tell you, I saw this little meme on Instagram the other night that I shared with my sons, and it said the Mossad trains its agents about how to deal with failure. Because if you see failure and you say, I'm failing, and you create this persona of failing. Whereas what they said, pattern interrupt that. And when something doesn't work out, you say data received instead. Data received. Data received. So even a failure is a small win. Meaning I went to a door, I door knocked it, I got all tongue-tied, I didn't know what to say, but I handed over a piece of the puzzle, said Danielle one week, and I said, good. That's a small win. You were at the door and you gave them the base piece of information, which was the market update. Bravo. That's a small win. It's not perfect as to what the system told you to do, but now you can go back after she digests that and say, I don't know why I didn't give you the rest of this, but it's got this and this. And then it's another small win. And we're getting some achievement towards the goal. You cannot go from 0 to hero. You cannot go from 0 to hero. You cannot go from 0 to hero. You need small wins, and those are the achievements. I know you want to check. I know you want that first deposit in the bank. I know, but you cannot skip steps to get there. You have to have all these small systematic wins that leads you from a lead to a prospect to a client to a closing to a past client. You got to go through all those stages, and you have to stay disciplined inside winning the small steps. So goal setting can lead to the development of new habits and skills. It becomes a habit now. I go out, I got a small win at getting a package out to this person, created a prospect. I'm going to do it again and again. And my skill got better. This time, the words out of my mouth weren't so tongue-tied, right? They were much better and smoother. That's a skill improvement. And I can't wait to go out and do it the next week. That's called a habit. It's all brain function, right? It's the way it works. Now, we start to go from strategic discussion of why goals trigger all this brain activity into, all right, let's get personal. Let's get tactical here, right? So now what we do, I always have my trusty yellow pad and my pencil with its eraser, and that's where I do my best thinking. It's called the firefly jar. I'm going to capture a firefly here, and you should do the same. I take the pen and I say, I would like to earn 101, 245. Okay. That's what I would like to earn. And get my calculator ready here, go to my phone, get it ready. And I'm telling you, keep it this stupid simple. If you can do math in your head without a calculator, good for you. Not the purpose of this. I would like to sell homes at an average price. I go and I pick the median for Cape Cod right now, for argument's sake, 766. Okay. That's the median price, right? So I pick that for number 2. Number 3, I come in here and I say, I will keep an average commission rate. Okay. What rate do I want to make minimum? I want to make 2.5% minimum. Okay. I know in my marketplace to be competitive, I'm going to need at least that. Now I'm thinking to myself, if I can get a 6% listing, God bless me. It's getting more and more difficult. But if I can get, 5% only, and there's pressure on commissions, then I might have to lower the buy side commission, because I've got to protect 2.5% with my life, I think to myself, right? Average commission, I will earn an average commission of. So now I take, and I'm going to interchange average and median. Okay. We'll just call it the same for this purpose, even though they're not. 766, 123 times 0.025 is the commission I expect to earn. Okay. So that commission I expect to earn is 19,150. Okay. So 19,150. Now remember, we got that 101, 245. So the rest of the math becomes easy. So I've got all of that information. 101, 245, middle price of 766, 2.5% commission. I'm going to protect it. That gives me a target commission, gross commission of 19,150. Okay. Now I just have to figure how many transactions do I need, okay, to get that goal. So I take the 101, this is stupid, simple division, 245 divided by 19,150, and I get 5.28 transactions. Okay. So to get my goal, 5.28. So I'll round it up to 6. So I need 6 sides / deals. And if you don't recognize the word size when I say it, that means you had the buyer or the seller or both. 2 sides when you have both. Okay. Now I've got 6 sides that I need. Now I have to choose sellers versus buyers. And I am screaming in a chamber all by myself, sellers, sellers, sellers. So I'm going to ask you to target 4 sellers in a year and 2 buyers. Now, does that sound like it's reasonable to your animal brain to be able to execute a clear plan that I have already developed over 20 plus years that I use to this day, staring at 27 million plus or minus in influence in front of me? Some parts of it underway, some parts of it closing. And by the way, some of those deals are much bigger than 766 because I just simply decided to choose them. So I got 4 sellers, 2 buyers at that kind of commission rate to get myself actually beyond 101, because remember, I rounded up a whole other deal. So I'm actually closer to 120 targeting this. So I could probably get away with 3 sellers and 2 buyers if I cheated a little bit higher than my 19,150 average by getting a deal or so above $1 million. So I really need 3 listings, 2 buyers. And shoot. Yep. No luck. All system. If you do it systematically. No, because you know what, I was going to say something to you. I was going to say, you of all people are like me. So I know what your weakness is going into this weekend. You will rush your preparation. Don't. I know you don't. You have to have the analysis. You have to have the net sheet. If you don't have those, okay, good, good. Because if you don't have those, then you don't, because I know too, you talk a lot. I know. No, you weren't supposed to show this to him yet. See, you've already violated. See, I know you. I know you. Did you meet him face? Did you meet him face to face? Okay, good. You did this on Zoom? Okay, good. But okay, I would not have given him that until I met him if I knew. Right. Never. Until you're in that house giving tips on what to do and what not to do, going through the analysis, then doing the net sheet physically, you lose some, you lose. Well, I've done them remotely, but I knew they weren't coming to here ever. I know, but I know you. I'm telling you, I know your weakness because you're so much like me early on in my career. You're excited. You just want to get it done. You think you have rapport, so you take things out of order or you rush them. Be so disciplined it hurts you, right? Because now this is why you're asking the question most likely because you weren't kinesthetically and physically in the room. But ask it anyway. Absolutely, yes. It's 88% of the time that it's one brokerage to the next. If you didn't offer a fee to the buy side, then 100% we're not going to attract any of those brokers to bring their people. Yep, correct, correct. On this in this MLS, not PIN. Um, no, it's not a whole list. They're not even the same MLSs. They're not one's no. Let me make it very clear. Let me make it very clear. No, MLS PIN is a private organization. The other one is realtor owned, and it's NAR associated. MLS is not NAR associated. I not that I'm aware of. Those are associations that are independent. Correct. So you just threw out 88. Hold on. Listen. You just threw away 88% of the magnetic attraction for business for an agent who's working with somebody. They'll go to a competing property. But having said that, we have push marketing. So I'm going to be in here all the time. I still have to get paid on the buy side if I find the buyer too, but I can do better on the commission if I find them directly. You know? Um, yes. If you but again, the question is why did you allow him to still be so conscientious about that? Something in value is missing, or your explanation of how the business works is missing a little bit. Why he just listed for presumably what 5% and offered a co-broke fee, did he not? Okay, yeah, ask him. And ask him, say that could have been part of your problem. Yeah, could very well have been part of your problem. That she tied you up for a year and was trying to tuck it in her own pocket and wasn't exposing it to the hello? Of course. He's like people get so caught up in the commission, you don't even have an offer yet. You don't even have an offer yet, and you're taking incentives off the table and you don't have an offer. That's your problem. Your thinking is wrong, right? So, yes, your pictures suck. Nobody proactively is doing open houses every weekend, opening the doors, using Zillow and Redfin to attract people. Like they don't even know any of that stuff exists, right? You're welcome. Yeah. But remember, my advice to you is because you're like me, so I'll give it to you plain and simple. Slow down and be disciplined in the order of things. It really turns out that it matters a lot. I never thought it did. Yeah, I never thought it did until I started getting more discipline. Like, holy crap. Could you imagine how much more money I could have made if I would have just slowed down, expressed it more clearly to the personality that wasn't like us, that didn't just do it? And plus, the better you start with them, the more under control you have them to get your price reductions, to have them listen to you, the more you are disciplined and really thoroughly explaining it in the beginning, the more they trust you, right? So there's just too many benefits to slowing down. Yeah. Kathy Boudreau. The attorney Kathy Boudreau, her husband, maybe. Yeah. No, I know Lair. It's, one of these discounted places, but Kathy Boudreau. I wonder if that's Phil Boudreau's sister-in-law. Oh, it is. Okay. I'm not going to look her up right now, but I think I know her. But, again, it didn't go anywhere because there's no plan. See what you're not up against? You're not up against anybody with strategy. It's a joke, right? They don't even know what to do. They're taking these listings and they don't even know what to do, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know you're well, because you don't even realize how professionally you're coming across because you're doing these things systematically, right? Because you're coming in with the information in the right order, the analysis in the right order, the net sheet. That's business. That's a business approach. There's no competition like that. I'm not saying there's not competition, but doing it like that, there's none. So smart people that want smart people handling their stuff. And it's not that, like, let's say Kathy Boudreau is the one I know, she's plenty bright, but without a system, it doesn't seem like it, does it? Because she's winging it. She's not being trained. There's no system for good pictures, presentation online. This is a sophisticated business that needs a system. And if you don't follow one, you're winging it. Good. Awesome. All right. What else for tonight? You're welcome. Awesome job. Like, again, discipline you. So your GCI goal tracker and your contact pipeline manager, make sure these names are on that contact pipeline manager, because if you don't get them right away, then what has to happen is you have to put those follow-up packages together. You can't just give a package. Like Christine just walked out of here shaking her head saying, I didn't know that. Okay, good. 2 plus 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2. What do you mean? We got 2 spreadsheets, 2 packages, and scripts and cover letters. Most of you don't seem to have real full idea of the follow-up scripts, which is where the real money's made in this. Follow-up scripts and follow-up packages. Okay. Those are 2 things that, ladies, I said it to all 3 of you that were there tonight, Danielle, Deirdre, Christine, your follow-up packages are everything once you've given that first one and created a prospect. Otherwise, that relationship atrophies and they forget you. And then they listen with somebody else. You're like, what the hell? I thought we had rapport. Yeah, but you stopped giving the information that made you different from everybody else. So you lost your unique standing. You're no longer unique. Danny Griffin came along, started giving more information regularly, and he says, hey, what happened to that nice gal, Deirdre? I mean, I had a good meeting with her, but then I never heard anything again. See what I mean? We can be our own worst enemy because we don't continue to do what we did until we secure the business. Then once we secure the business, all you have to do is execute on the plan that was promised. Hey, remember when I told you marketing was this? We first do a better job taking professional photos, making sure we have floor plans, getting up on our custom website. Then it syndicates through MLS out to everywhere else so that all that 88% of the brokers and their buyers can see it. But then we get off our ass. I call around your neighborhood, see how I found you. I do the same thing. I call all your neighbors. Hey, we got this. We got open houses coming up. Come see this, right? Then I open house it. And that syndicates out through Zillow and Redfin, and everybody on their phone sees it, and they drive by with or without their agent. They come. I get real feedback. See, all you have to do is then execute the plan that you promised them from the minute you gave them the package. We never have to invent anything. We make a promise. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're okay. I mean, I think, yeah, you liked them. You liked them, but did you have any buyer that you were going to bring to that property? Okay. See my point? So No, do it. I said, do it, but don't expect more. Deirdre, Deirdre, it's a party for you and the brokers. Do it for exposure because you might get lucky that one of the brokers actually has somebody. But the majority of the time, where do I make my money? By doing real open houses. Fine. Yes, sure. Do it. You're throwing the kitchen sink at it, but prioritizing it is open houses, it is telemarketing around there, maybe some postcards, maybe a broker open house. But you got to do open houses ad nauseum. Look, I'm yeah, I know. Yeah, I wanted to hit you over the head with that big thick pile of open house sign-in sheets. I can't reach it, so I can't hit you. Okay, good job though. Great job. I mean, great job. But go repeat it and look at your contact pipeline manager. Look at your contact pipeline manager. Where are the names of the people you gave packages to? Are they on there? And have they gotten follow-up packages? And did you neglect any of them already where you forgot some already and they listed with somebody else? Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all have those stories, so you have to fight through those, right? So, yep. Yeah, I'm happy to have you here. You're very good at this, just like Christine um, and Danielle. You're off to great starts. And that's why I excitedly and vigorously coach the three of you because you really do execute. Just keep doing the awesome job you're doing. It's a numbers game for the three of you, but it is also my job to fill in these blanks, slow you down, have Danielle be consistent, and have Christine just manage. Everybody has a little tweak on coaching, but you're all executing. Just keep doing it. It's just, this is an interesting business once I figure this formula out. I can look at the three of you and guarantee success if you will continue to execute and if you will tell me these stories like this. So I can say, oops, that was close. Good, tweak this. Don't do that next time if you can do it face to face, but fine. See what I mean? Yes. And Andre, you are right. Doing it like that, there is no competition, period. When you do it like this, there is no competition doing it that way. None. Zero, which is a crazy statement to be able to make, but I can make it. I just never have seen anybody try to compete against me exactly like this, which means it's unique. And because I know it works with 27 million spread out on the table and everything that I would have closed this year so far and all the business I'm closing in the last 2 weeks, which is mind blowing. It just, I'm addicted to doing it this way. All right. Yep. Totally, because they failed. Isn't it wonderful? What do you think I said? Right. And they went with their perceptions or they were sold some ridiculous story and you come in with this. That's the best listing opportunity because you're juxtaposing this incredible professionalism against this winging it. Right? Yeah. So there you go. Okay. That's it for me. So unless there's one final call, I'll give it one more minute. Anybody has anything? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Well, you can see how Rowan, you can see how disciplined I am inside that, right? You can Rowan, 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 you see this? I got this whole concept right here from Michael Gerber. This comes right out of the book. I took what I read there and I made this picture. I made that happen, right? That's what I did. Because I needed, let me just put it on in case anybody watches on hang on. in case anybody sees this on, I don't want to say something and not show it on YouTube too. Hang on. This business model here, I assume you can see it, right? It's a picture. Yeah. So that's out of Michael Gerber's book. See what Michael Gerber, the book's title, The E-Myth, stands for the entrepreneurial myth. And what the basic premise is just because I know how to sell a house doesn't mean I know how the whole business works. So that's a shock to the system. And so if you break it down into the three personas, I always joke that Gerber wants you to be tripolar, right? So the entrepreneur sees the systematic business. It's a vision, right? It's a higher, that Michael's directive is you should create a model that could be franchised. Well, the only way to do that is to make it extremely systematized. Everything that you do is A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, right? There's systems through checklists. Well, okay, that's the vision. And I wasn't born like that. So I realized I had to make myself more technically oriented than I was because I was creative. But then I've got to create this management persona and break it out. Okay, what does that mean for marketing? Well, that means you have to go get unique selling propositions developed in a business where everybody's the same. So those two buyer and seller packages are strategic thinking results. If I want to market me and you differently from the competition, then I said, why don't we just take what every seller would need and organize it in three simple chunks and turn it into a physical product when everybody's going digital? And digital, you can't even deliver well. But physical, an information product is easy to deliver, it's easy to consume, and so therefore it differentiates us. So see, you start to think strategically, I got to be different. So why don't I do these things? And tactically, I just end up making these packages and giving them. But then I got to understand language, scripting. I have to understand influence. Robert Cialdini's book, Influence, teaches me, okay, you got a gift to give, but here are the types of words you'll need. Here's the sound in your voice you'll need, right? So you start to take all of these universal concepts and you put them inside this business framework. So it's not this ranting and raving that I'm doing. It's 20 plus years of reading these books and understanding inside of Michael Gerber's framework where they are most effective. And then watching the consumer to say, not does Danny have an opinion, but does the consumer react with a yes or a no to the way Danny tries to do it based on these principles? And then every week we tweak it a little bit more and a little bit more because we learn more and more subtleties. But I never have to reinvent something because I'm working within Gerber's franchise prototype concept. See, if you go to McDonald's today, Rowan, it's not very different from what it was 50 years ago, right? Yes, the building looks cleaner and different. They've got different colors. They've got new technologies, but you're still going to get a burger and fry that's relatively a consistent predictability. So I can go to that drive-through. My expectation is I don't pay a lot and I get a specific thing, right? So it produces over time a predictable result. Now, you will get bored with that well before the consumer will. So that's why we lack this discipline because we're like, oh, I'm going to try this time. Why? If you really want to be a successful business person, you now need system discipline yourself. So you see me just coaching Deirdre. Now I'm saying who Deirdre has to become to lead herself is somebody with a little bit more patience and a little bit more pace to slow down full articulation at each level, right? But she's already within the framework. So she's already out there about to get a listing because she's following the framework up to there. So even I joke like this, Rowan, even if she bangs up against the guardrails of the system, she doesn't flip over into the poppy fields with Dorothy. We're good. She can make those little mistakes and still be far better than the competition, right? Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. System runs the business. That's exactly. Yeah, yeah. I know it's crazy. Good. All right, good. All right, gang. Listen, that's it for me tonight. I'm going to call it a night, but thank you for your attention to this matter and go out there and do this, right? See ya. Bye.